Hey gang, Ronan here. Welcome on back to the Cade in our weekly edition of Sports Saturday. And for this week, we're going to go back to 1990 and the good old Nintendo Entertainment System because let's be honest, there's just not enough games on that console for us to be able to adequately highlight. And we're going to play a game that I actually kind of snuck up on me and proved to be one of my favorite sports games of that era. We're going to play NES Play Action Football for about the next half an hour or so. We're going to do just a single one player versus computer. We're going to play level 1 because why not? It's been about 30 years since I played this game. I'm not going to be great at it. However, we'll take our shot at it. Now, how this game works is pretty simple. You get to choose from 8 different teams. It's not an officially licensed game because you don't have the actual team names, but this is one of the few games of the era that had actual player names. So, in some ways, they skirted around it because, like, this isn't the Miami Dolphins, but it will have the Miami Dolphins roster on it. And because my hometown New England team isn't on here, this is what I'm going to go with. So, we'll pick them, and why don't we pick Houston? Because Houston's not around anymore. If you know football history at all, Houston, once upon a time, was called the Oilers, and then they moved to Tennessee and are now known as the Titans. And that happened back in the early 90s. Now, how this game works, and one of the reasons why I like it, is because you can automatically tell it is different than your standard top-down game in that it has an isometric view, very much like, cheap plug here, the Diablo playthrough that we are currently undergoing, and I do hope you guys are tuning in for that as well as Suckerpunch Sunday, which will be coming up tomorrow. Now, this game came out, as I said, in 1990, and it was released only on the NES, although it did later come out as a port on the Game Boy. It was then released in 2007 on the Wii Virtual Console, and then was included as a Club Nintendo bonus download in 2012. So it didn't get a lot of play when it came out the first time, but as you can see, you get a couple of different plays you can choose from. You can't cycle through them like you can in other games, and the blue plays are running plays and the red plays are passing plays. Now you can run them as drawn, or you can do them running the opposite direction. So I'm just going to take off here and run, and hopefully I can get upfield to get a first down. And I'm still running, which is amazing because I'm running with Dan Marino, who was a guy who was never good at running, but he picks up 32 yards. Now, if you don't know who all these players are, that's fine. These are all players that I grew up with, and Dan Marino is a Hall of Fame player, and he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and that cannot be disputed. In 1984, he set a benchmark of throwing for 5,084 yards in an NFL season, in a 16-game NFL season. And 48 touchdowns. Now, those are marks that did not get broken until the mid-2000s when Peyton Manning and Tom Brady and Drew Brees were all at the height of their powers. Let's see if I can complete a pass on this one. Ooh, and I got sacked. I went to throw it and hit the wrong button. So when you go to hike the ball, A is your hike button, B is your throwing button. Let's see here. Well, I'll try it again to see if I can run. A crossing route. I better get rid of it in a hurry. And, that was incomplete. I was trying to get it to duper. Now, when you let the ball go, what you need to do is figure out where your receiver is and then have them run to the ball. So now I'm going to have to punt it. And then that meter at the bottom obviously determines the strength by which you kick. Oh, and the guy bounced right off me. So we've got no score here in the first quarter. Now with defense, it's the same thing. Your blue plays are stopping the run. Your red plays are stopping the pass. So I'm going to try and run a pass play here, because Houston was known for running a type of offense called the run and shoot, which was a big-time passing attack. And that one was incomplete, because they were looking for Ernest Givens. And it's the same thing when you're on defense. When you're trying to defend the pass, you have to be able to run to where the ball is going to go and hope you can either pick it off or knock it down. But in this case, they ran a run play, so that gives them the first down. Now, if there's one gripe I have about this game, it's that trying to switch players, as I pick it off, I wanted that. And I'm running it back down the field. Can I get a pick six? We'll see. I got the entire secondary chasing after me here. And they knocked me down at the 23-yard line. Now, sadly, I don't have a rating for this game. Because it was an NES football game, and because until you got to the 16-bit generation, and until really Madden came along, football games, by and large, just didn't sell well. It didn't mean that they were necessarily bad games, but because they were played this way, or they were played completely top-down, I'm surprised that managed to be caught for a completion. But it's 2nd and 1, so we don't have a first down yet. But these games just weren't as popular when the NES was around as to later on when the when we got to the Genesis and the Super NES. So now they're going to come out and measure it. And we're just short. Now, one of the things I did like about this game, in addition to it being fairly easy to play, was I liked the presentational aspect of it. In the same way I liked the early Konami games, and I liked... that should be a first down. No, they're going to come out and measure it again. But how much I liked like Bases Loaded and Rack Attack and other games I've played in this series. And it's just enough for the first down. Where this was different from even playing like Tecmo Bowl. And again, we've played Tecmo Bowl on this series, and I had a lot of fun playing it. But for people who didn't like Tecmo Bowl and were looking for something else, oh, I thought I had that caught. If I'd moved just a step to the right, I would have had it. All right, let's try that again. Except we'll do it as drawn as opposed to running it the opposite way. Going to the end zone. Touchdown. That's what we wanted right there. Now, this was also one of the few games that if you got what was called the NES Satellite, which allows you to plug in 4 controllers into one adapter, you could play 4 players in this game. Now, I never got a chance to play it with 4 people. I would usually play it with like a buddy of mine. So we would play one-on-one, and we had a lot of fun playing this. But again, that was part of the appeal of a game like this, in that if you can involve more players, then in theory, you could have more fun. That's never a guarantee with a game like this, but I at least credit Tosei, who's the company who came up with this game, for trying. Now, Tosei has an interesting history behind them, and they're spelled T-O-S-E. And they are a Japanese game developing company, and they're still around. They're based in Kyoto. They were created in 1979. And what they ended up doing was they actually assisted on a lot of games that were released on multiple consoles over the last couple of generations. And one of the things I didn't know... Oh man, that's wide open if it's caught. Oh crap. See, that's the run and shoot at work here. Now I gotta hope my guy can catch him before he gets to the end zone, and I don't think that's gonna happen. Because I am sitting there mashing my... Oh, he ran out of bounds. Wow, he could have kept going and probably scored. I wouldn't have caught him. And I even ran a 2-deep pattern on that, so I had 2 defensive backs who were all the way in the backfield who should have been able to stop him. Now, if I'm right, the quarterback for Houston is another Hall of Fame quarterback named Warren Moon, who was really the first high-profile African-American quarterback in the 80s. As they were trying to get to the tight end again. And Warren Moon has a really, really interesting history in that he was a star quarterback at the University of Washington, Washington State. Won the school a Rose Bowl in the late 1970s, but then the NFL didn't draft him because he was, like it or not, a black quarterback. At a time when, and he's going to run it in too. At a time when the NFL believed that African-American players could not be quarterback for what we see nowadays, and it was Moon. So we recognize it now as being quite blatantly racist ideology. Insofar as that they didn't, the owners and executives at the time, and again, you have to bear in mind this was 40 years ago, they did not believe that black athletes had the mental acumen to play a position like quarterback in the NFL. That's not my belief in no way, shape, or form. That was the believed ideology of the time. And Warren Moon, to his credit, helped shatter that by being a Hall of Fame quarterback. He never won a Super Bowl. But he did go and win. In order to prove to the NFL that he could play, he had to go to Canada and play for a team that was then called the Edmonton Eskimos. They are now called the Edmonton Elks. And he won 5 of their championships, called the Grey Cup, in a row. And then all of a sudden people at the NFL went, hey, maybe this guy can play. And he went on to throw in his career. Warren Moon accumulated statistics on par with Dan Marino. He threw for the equivalent of 35 miles as a quarterback. If that doesn't prove that somebody is capable of playing a position, I don't know what will. Let's see if I can get upfield here. I'll pick up 9 yards. And now we got open field. Can they catch us before we get to the end zone? We're at the 30, 25, 20. Broke a tackle, 15. Breaks another tackle. Oh, shoot, I hit the wrong button. And I dove. We went 61 yards and we're down at the 6-yard line. So B is your dive button. A helps you fend off tacklers. And I should have just kept it going. But be that as it may, we are well within striking distance of another touchdown. We tried to get the sweep around the corner. We only picked up 1 yard. Uh-oh. We have a player, and that's usually the quarterback who gets hurt. Yep, sure enough. Marino got hurt. Which means we have to bring in Jim Sekules to take over as quarterback. So now we have to see what we can do without our Hall of Fame quarterback, at least for a little while. We can substitute Marino back in, hopefully in a bit. And that should have been caught. Let's try that again. Now, one of the things that is much different about this game than like current NFL or even most football games is that if you run plays a certain way, oh, that still should have been caught. You can repeat plays and the computer is not immediately going to pick up and go, oh, well, clearly you're doing this. So it doesn't necessarily know how to adjust to you. Which again, this being now a close to 35-year-old game, it's not going to have the brain to do it. But we still get the catch and we still get the touchdown. So we'll kick the point after. And that should be good. So it's 14-0 with about 10 minutes to go in the first half. Now, I will tell you, for the sake of getting out of the way now, this may very well run more than a half an hour to play one game. In that respect, it's not much different than playing most modern Madden games in that it doesn't go a usual half an hour. But they're going to go ahead and down it in the end zone for the touchback. So they'll start at the 20. Let's see. We'll send a rush and we'll try and cover them man to man. And incomplete. I was trying to get over there to try and pick the ball off. And again, you have to hit A and B at the same time, which is really annoying, I have to admit. It is frustrating when you're trying to switch over to a player, and if you can't get A and B to work, like so, because I was trying to get over and pull him down. Instead, Highsmith picks up 8, so it'll be 3rd and short. We'll do the rush again. Now, another thing about this game is that it's not essential that you know football terminology, but it can help. So Highsmith picks up 16 more yards. He's close to midfield, and we got another first down. So, like, knowing the difference between a 3-4, which you see in the graphic, and a 4-3 isn't so essential. All that means is the number of people at the line versus the number of linebackers behind them. So, for instance, a 4-3 means you have 4 defensive linemen up front, 3 linebackers in the middle, and then you'll have a couple of defensive backs, so cornerbacks, safeties, things like that. In a 3-4, you will have 3 linemen up front, 4 linebackers, and then 4 defensive backs. So, in theory, running a 3-4 is better against the pass, whereas a 4-3 is better against the run, because you have more bodies up front that can, in theory, stop a running back, and then you can, on a pass play in a 3-4, you can have more defensive backs and linebackers out there being able to stop a pass play. And because they're swapping out their quarterback and they're swapping out their running back, I'm more inclined to think that they're going to be running the ball, although now they're going for a pass play. But we get in there and we get a sack. And I always did like that they get that little graphic on a sack. So now it's 4th and 6. And it doesn't really matter what we call, because I don't think they're going to go for it. They usually go for it. No, they are going to go for it. Okay, my bad. And we still wrap him up and get the sack. John Offerdahl. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time. He was a good linebacker. Wasn't a Hall of Famer, but worked for our purposes. And now I'm going to see really quick if Marino is capable of getting back in the game. And he is, so we'll see if we can tack another touchdown on the board before halftime. Oh, and I overran it. I was trying that quick slant on the rollout, and it didn't quite work. So let's try this again. Oh, and I threw it too far out in front of him. Couldn't get over to it in time. So, we got 3rd down. We got to make a completion to get the first down. I don't have to punt it being over in Houston territory. There we go. That's first down and a bit more. Down to the 20, down to the 15, and we're down to the 15-yard line. So a 29-yard pickup. Clock still running. We're at about 2.5 minutes. So in theory, if we can score here, we should be going into the locker room with a 2-score lead. Except I got sacked. And now Marino is down and hurt again. So out comes the stretcher. Bring Secules back in. Makes the catch, and we're going to go in for the touchdown. I didn't think he was going to get there to make that play. I think that was Mark Clayton. The Miami Dolphins at this time in their history had a really prolific passing attack, which is why Dan Marino was able to set the records he did. Even though this was 6 years really into his career. And they had a pair of wide receivers named Mark Duper and Mark Clayton. And because they shared the same first name, somebody got the brilliant idea to call them the Marx Brothers. So we're up 21-7, close to the half. And they will likely down this for a touchback. Well, Houston, no, they're going to run it out. Okay. Now, can I get over and tackle this guy? And I can. So there's 10 seconds left to go in the quarter. As well as the half. So my guess is they're going to run one play. And they're going to probably just try and run it. And instead it's incomplete. And that will be halftime. So we've done pretty well. We've thrown for 129 yards. We rushed for 44 yards. Houston's got one turnover. And now we get the halftime show, which gives me a chance to give you a little bit more info about the games that Tosei, who again was the company that put this game out, released. So they released a ton on the NES, including the original Bases Loaded series, as well as Racket Attack, which are both games we played on this channel. They did Super Bases Loaded for the SNES, as well as a couple of Dragon Ball Z games. They did Super Saiyan Densetsu and Super Botuden in 1992 and 1993, respectively. As he finally gets brought down. Then they did Super Botuden 2 and Super Botuden 3 for Dragon Ball Z in 1993 and 94. And then they did 3 more Dragon Ball Z games for the Super NES in 1994 and 1995. They then went to the Game Boy and released about 15 games there. They did stuff for the Game Boy Color and the Game Boy Advance. They actually released, they helped release Mario's Tennis for the Virtual Boy. And then they switched to the PlayStation and came out with Thousand Arms, as well as a Shin Megami Tensei game called Devil Summoner Soul Hackers in 1998. So they've been pretty prolific and still, to this day, are releasing games for the PS5. They came out with Scarlet Nexus along with Bandai Namco. So Tosei had a hand in that. And then they helped come out with Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion last year, along with Square Enix. So it's good to see that out of a game that really nobody played back in my Halcyon NES days, that at least one small company has been able to remain solvent. As we wrap him up and sack him again. And do so on multiple systems. In fact, on the Nintendo Switch, Tosei was responsible for releasing Splatoon 2, which I've heard was a great game. As well as Paper Mario, Famicom Detective Club, Dragon Quest Treasures, Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion, and Dragon Quest Monsters Dark Prince. So they turned the ball over on downs, did Houston. And now we have first and goal at our 9-yard line. Or at Houston's 9-yard line, I should say. Throwing into double coverage, but we get it caught anyway for the touchdown. So that makes it 27-7. We'll kick the point after. And now it's 28-7. So we've put up, I believe, 28 unanswered points since Houston got on the board. Or correction, we put up 21 because it was 7-7, and then we scored on our last 3 drives. So now we'll see if we can pin them back again. Why they're not punting, I have no idea. Because the computer is allowed to punt. So they run the screen. And it'll be close to a first down on a pickup of 8 for Highsmith. Let's see if we can stop him here. Uh-oh. Now we got a problem. Because he is in the clear, and we got to run him down really fast. Which is not happening quick enough. Down the sidelines he goes. Oh, he shook me off. And we finally get him down. 57-yard pickup. So, one thing I will tell you about this game is that, especially on the lower levels, if you like offense, then this is very much a game for you because neither defense can really stop the offense. There we go. We finally wrap him up and drop him for the sack. But again, because it's only operated with 2 buttons, being your A and B along with your D-pad, being able to control the players is not as easy as you would think. As we punch it right up the middle and sack him again. EJ Jr. on that sack. But honestly, compared to modern games, it's truly not that different. You know, I'm going back and replaying NCAA Football 14 on my PS3 because it was the last college football game that was ever released. As that's incomplete. And one thing I've noticed, especially being an EA game, the mechanics in it are truly awful. You know, trying to be able to stop opposing teams when you send your entire defense up against them and you can't tackle one guy, but you send your guys out on offense and you can't get anywhere. Like my team right now, I can't throw downfield It's like my receivers can't get open and my quarterback cannot throw it more than 10 yards. So, whereas in this game, I can find an open receiver, I can get the ball to them, and then they can pick up huge chunks of yardage. Like so. Provided I put them in a position to actually catch the ball, which I thought I was right there. Okay, Marino's back in, so... Oh, that's going to be incomplete because I thought they were going the other way, and instead it went to the right. Now I definitely have to pick up a first down here. And that one overthrew him. So we go 3 and out on this drive, but we're still up by 21. So we'll go ahead and punt it. No, I want a great punt, but I got at least downfield. But they're going to have good field position here. Inside our 35. 1st and 10 at the 33. With exactly 3:33 to go in the 3rd. Because I don't have the time or energy to make stuff like that up. Fumble! And Rozier picks it up. So we had a chance to get it, but unfortunately we didn't. So they're going to bring back in Warren Moon, which means they're definitely going to start throwing it. Because you don't bring a guy like him back in and not try and throw the ball downfield. I tried to switch over to this guy like a minute ago, and now that should be close to a first. Or no, it is a first down because they were needing 13. Okay. Uh-oh. Can I get to him before he gets to the end zone? Oh, he's going to run out of bounds. So Moon scrambles for almost 20, and now it's 1st and goal at the 3-yard line. But can they get a playoff before the end of the quarter? We back him up and dump him, which is what we needed. So it moves it back to the 8. And that's incomplete. And again, I was trying to switch players to try and pick it off. And couldn't get there. So now we get to the 4th quarter. And if we pull this win out, which it looks like we should, I will have notched my 21st win in this series. My record currently stands at 26-5. That's 20 wins, 6 losses, or 7 losses rather. And 5 no contests. You gotta get there. Oh, come on! I was trying to sack Carlson and I kept getting blockers thrown in my way out of nowhere. So they're gonna bring Moon back in. Which means they're gonna go for it on 4th down. Fourth and goal at the 2-yard line. Oh, and they're going to kick the field goal instead. Is it good? No! Wide left. So now we have 1st and 10 on our 20. With 13 minutes and change to go in the ball game. And really what we got to do is we just got to run the clock out. See if we can get downfield here. We're close to a 1st down. We'll probably have to bring out the chains and measure it again. And we are just short. Again. So, let's see here. I haven't run this one yet. We'll run a button hook and see if that works. And, of course, we get sacked. Getting ready to throw it, and in came the rush, and down we went. So now we need 4 for a 1st down. Oh, and it's picked off. Brown sat right there and grabbed it. And I was in position to be able to get that and pick up some yardage. So now Houston can turn the tables as they're at my 28-yard line. And if they can score here, there still might be time for them to put a run together. Granted, it is highly improbable. Uh-oh, I gotta catch him. Oh, and he shirked me off. And we're not gonna get to him. Touchdown. Ah, cannot believe that. So they capitalized on the pick. And now it's 28-13 with the extra point coming up. And can they make the extra point? Yes, they can. Now we get to see whether or not they're going to try and pull an onside kick. Nope, they're just going to kick it away. So they're going to hope I will turn the ball over again. And then come back downfield and score. Oh, but we got a seam. Oh, boy. Good return. Brought it back to my 42-yard line. That's a really good kick return. And it's caught, and we're across midfield. That's enough for a 1st down. And I went to run a sweep, and instead ended up being a quarterback keeper, which is not what I intended at all. So I'll bring Secules back in. Oh, and that ball's picked off. So Brown with his second pick of the ball game. So now all of a sudden the computer is wisening up to when I throw that rollout pass. That's not good. So they run the screen pass, but they only pick up 3. And we're down to 6 minutes and counting in the ball game. And he's sacked. So EJ Jr. with another takedown, which we really needed because now it's under 5 minutes to go, or 5.5 minutes to go. And we need to stop him again here. Incomplete. I thought Gibbons would have had that. I was trying for the interception, but I couldn't pull it in. And they're going to go ahead and punt it. So we very much needed the 3 and out. And let's see how far back we can return this punt. Okay, we'll bring Marino back in and try and close this ball game out. So I'm going to try this rollout pass again, but I'm not going to go the same way because I don't want Brown to get 3 picks on me. We get it out to Clayton. Picks up 12, and that was a critical first down. The other thing we have to keep in mind is you get timeouts in this game, but I'm not going to run mine because I want to make sure I can run the clock out and preserve my lead. Whereas Houston's got 3 timeouts to burn. And I just overthrew my tight end on that one. Alright, we'll try the button hook again and see how this works. So we're at 2 minutes to go. That's caught. Shick off one guy. And we're pulled down to the 35. So pick up a 20, and that was a critical first down because now we're under a minute to go. And this can help run the clock out. As we get sacked, and now Reno is hurt on the next to last play of the game. Oh, come on. Let me swap them. Thank you. So 2nd and 13 with 43 seconds to go. And that one's incomplete. We got 7 seconds to go. So we have time to run one more play. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and run a sweep, because that will run the clock out. And then we can put a cap on this ball game. So I will notch win number 21 in this series. And it doesn't matter because that is the final play of the ball game. And we beat the Houston Oilers, now known as the Tennessee Titans, 28-14. And that, everybody, is NES Play Action Football in a nutshell from 1990 for, as stated, the Nintendo Entertainment System. Is it a great game? I mean, as far as football games of the time go, they're better than a lot of them, I'll give them that. Because it was different, it's challenging. Again, this was playing it on level 1, and the computer put up a pretty good fight. You get to level 2, 3, and 4, and obviously the degree of difficulty goes up more than somewhat. And if you like football and are looking for something that's a little bit different, yeah, it's not Madden, but that's okay. And we even get Nestor, who was the original NES Nintendo Power mascot, who they happen to throw in here as our sports broadcaster later on. So, you know, if anything, give it a try if you're interested. If you are looking to see good throwback sports games, I would put this on my short list of ones to go ahead and try out. So if you've enjoyed this, and I do hope you have, best way to show it is, as always, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, ring the bell to be notified of the latest content. Remember, we have Suckerpunch Sunday coming up tomorrow, where we will play a classic fighting or fighting platform-based game from the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th generation. And because this one ran 20 minutes longer than my norm, I promise you normal service will be resumed tomorrow. Also, remember to check out our ongoing playthrough of the original Diablo for PS1. We are now about 10 episodes into that. We have new content coming up every Monday, Wednesday, Friday in that series, so keep an eye out for that. Follow us on Instagram and Threads at Ronan's Retrocade. Help spread the word about us so we can hit our goal of 100 subscribers as soon as we can and make this channel bigger and better. And as always, if there's a game you would like to see us feature from the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Super Nintendo, Sega Master System, Sega Genesis or Mega Drive, SNK Neo-Geo, Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2, leave it in the comments below or drop me a line on Instagram or Threads. It can be any game from those consoles that you want. And my name is Ronan. It's been great to spend this Sports Saturday with you. Be safe, be well, happy gaming, stay cool out there, everybody. Still really hot here in the dog days of summer, and we will talk to you tomorrow for Sucker Punch Sunday. Bye!